Cool.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is a Friday night, and we are going straight into yet another session zero for Untold Chronicles. This time, the session zero is going to be about a really strange, mysterious place called the Gardens of Shedaklah, a place that has not really been visited by any of my original players earlier. So it's a very interesting one. We're not going to discuss much about the setting tonight, but we are going to meet our players, generate our characters. Let us see once again if the tech gods are with us. First of all, we are missing at the moment a couple of players tonight. We've had tech problems. They hopefully will be joining us a bit later. If they can't join us later, you will meet them in episode 1. So even more suspense. So without further ado, though, let us meet the two players that we do have. I'm just going to go down your usernames and let you introduce yourselves. So first of all, we have connected Drunken Haze. Hello there.
Hi, I'm James.
James, yeah. I know who you are really, but I kind of it feels polite to introduce you by your username first. And are you okay with me calling you James, which is what I normally call you, but you might want to say.
I think I prefer it to Drunken Haze, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't pick my social media names with the idea that I'd be using them in a kind of vocal adult setting.
Yeah.
15 years after I made them.
It's kind of like early adopters to the internet when there was AOL and you kind of are sort of 13 or 14 and you create your first email address and it sticks with you forever. Yeah, I am embarrassing and I have been there as well. Welcome, James. James is a long-time player with us. It's really good to have you involved in this project and very interested to sort of see where this takes us. Our second player is Doug Force. No numbers after it, just Doug Force. Hi, Doug Force. Who are you?
Hey everyone, I'm Doug, and yeah, similarly to James, yeah, those handles were picked at a very different time.
I love it. I do. I genuinely love it. And are you okay with me calling you Doug? Which again,
Absolutely, yeah.
and Doug is a long time sort of player in some of the other games as well. So very familiar voices. I like to say faces, but we can't do video at the moment because my computer is archaic. Brilliant. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to generate the characters. For those of you who followed the other session zeros, you are very much aware of this. The very first thing that you kind of need to do, if you haven't already, is to download the content that the GM has, so you've got access to all of the things that you want to generate your character for. So the way you do this, right at the bottom of your virtual tabletop on the right hand side is the library button. Click on that. That opens up the library page. What I tend to do is I suggest you click the all button, which is on the top right hand side. This opens up all of the buttons on your virtual tabletop, so you've got access to all that information. And then you need to get the content downloaded, so you click on modules, which is that button there on the bottom left hand side of the library page. All of the information, the players won't see all of this, some of them are for GMs only, but download the content that you need to download. If you've got a very good computer and you can handle the information, just download it all really. It might come in useful. I'm assuming that you are both familiar with that and have probably already done that already. If you haven't, download that content so at least you've got access to it ready for creating your character. I see that one of our characters have already been created, but I'll go through the process step by step for our viewers as well. It kind of works as a tutorial. So beneath my face, which is sort of up here, I need to move the camera angle. There is a button that has PC written on it with a little knight's head. You click on that and that opens up your character selection chart. What you want to do is look on the bottom right hand side and there's a little star in a blue circle. That is the character wizard. You click on that and that opens up the character wizard. And if you've downloaded all the modules already, you can just go through this character wizard and generate your character. A couple of things that is easy to miss. Primarily, it's about the stats. If you look at the stats button, click on that, it'll tick it green to show you're on the stats. The top one is select a method for determining ability scores. There's actually a drop down menu here and it's easy to miss where it says standard array. If you click on that drop down menu, it gives you all of those options there. And you can choose either for this campaign point by or standard array. If you were playing in different things, you could do things like dice rolling, and that's what I've just done there. And you can roll all those dice, and wow, that was truly appalling. Look at that! Just for you in chat, I've managed to roll for all the abilities, tens for every single stat, other than the 6 that I've managed to roll, and that is with 4d6 dropping the lowest. That is, wow, sums up my day. So yeah,
It's like you kill at birth, basically.
yeah. I mean that's just
Going
like
straight to the farm.
yeah, that is yeah. I mean, it's not even interesting. It's not even like, oh, I've got some really low stat. It's like incredibly dull and very weak at something else as well. Anyway, it's a good job we don't use that, and I've closed that down already. Is everybody okay so far with that information? You can kind of work your way through that information and generate your characters as you kind of see fit.
The only issue I've got at the moment is the Ladrin appears to have different adjustments to its stats than I thought it did in Modern Guidance.
That's okay. If you choose one of them, what we can do once you've generated your characters, we can adjust your ability scores as you see fit. I think they change them depending on the season that they're in, or certainly they change their abilities dependent on the season that they're in.
Yeah, it's got +1 to intelligence rather than charisma. That's the only difference.
If you make a note of that, we can edit it once you've created the character. Again,
Cool.
one of the really cool things about Fantasy Grounds, and it kind of seems to be sort of very retro when I say this, but it's almost like you're playing with pen and paper. It's ultimately changeable. If you don't like something, you can just almost rub it out and put in the score that you want. And as someone who's not very handy with technology, it just gives me that confidence that, oh, it doesn't really matter because I can just change it. And I find that quite liberating, rather than going, oh, if I enter this, is it going to be recorded forever and I have to start all over again? And I genuinely think that is a really useful ability. But carry on working through your character, Doug. I'm going to open up James's character now. So we can start talking about the character sheets itself. Again, primarily for the audience, because I know that you've both used Fantasy Grounds before. So the way that we can open up a character is by clicking on the portrait here, and you see that we have the portrait in here. The first thing that is worth mentioning is that there are these tabs down the right hand side, which again easily go missing when you say to a player, click on the skills tab. They automatically look over onto the right hand side of the virtual tabletop, and there is to be fair, a skills button there, and they open that up, and there is miscommunication of what you mean. But on the right hand side of the character sheet, there is a skills tab here, and you can click on that. Click on abilities, inventory, notes, log, and actions. Seems James has kind of filled out his character perfectly, which is really good to see. So the main page is all of the main things about your character, really. The meat and bones of it. You've got your class, and we see that it's a cleric. Background, Wardaven noble. Obviously, Waterdeep doesn't exist in the Untold Chronicles, but it could easily be.
That wasn't actually my background of choice. That just kind of came up randomly though.
Yeah.
But I changed the stats appropriately. It's
That's fine. What do you want to be called? What kind of background?
No, don't worry about it. Background is kind of unimportant, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Backstory is where it's all at.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Protector Asamar, which is
just a normal human. Just a normal human.
Just a normal human. Just a normal human. Of course you are. Of course you are. A normal human. You don't have dark vision either.
I actually have 300 foot of dark vision.
You have 300 feet of dark vision as a normal human.
As a Twilight cleric, I do.
Yeah. All right, as a Twilight cleric. All right, okay. And then you have your ability stats down here. This is how you just do straight ability rolls when you try to do that. So if you just wanted a straight Constitution roll, you can do that. That isn't a saving throw, that's a check, but just based off Constitution. A little thing that we learned a while back is that if you wanted to save certain rolls that you make a lot of, you can grab this dice here and drop it down to the hotbar, and then it will do dexterity checks for you all the time. If you wanted to get rid of that, you right click, call up the radical, choose the clear slot, and it takes it away. So this is the ability scores. The saving throws are down here, and it works exactly the same. Double clicking on the number allows you to make the roll. You can move these dice and manipulate it down. The little stars if lit up show you have proficiency in that. Passive perception is here, and you have your armor class, your initiative, and your speed here as well. Two of the key sort of functionalities or interfaces can be these brown buttons here. The brown buttons are really for your information, so they tell you all about the rule. So when you click on that, it tells you all about the associated rule for that. Then you can look at skills. They've got these brown buttons here, but you can also share this information. So if you need to share the information with other players, and somebody says, what's acrobatics? You can grab the buttons, these brown buttons, and put them here into the chat so other players can see them. And you can also hotkey them down to the bottom bar there. Really useful. It means you don't have to go searching for the information either on Fantasy Grounds or in your sort of hardcover books either. So that's really useful functionality. The other one is these hourglasses. I call them hourglasses. They are looking glasses, and we started calling them tennis rackets a while ago. They're kind of faded out a bit, but when you click on them, they open up windows that allow you to manipulate the numbers. So, for instance, if Dino Brion, is that how we're pronouncing it?
Dinobrian, yeah.
Dinobrian. If he had a better speed and we wanted to increase the speed, then we could modify these numbers here. If his armor was different, we can modify numbers here. So that is what these little tennis rackets do. They allow you to modify the information as opposed to give you the information. Then finally, obviously we have armor class here. We have speed, we have initiative, we have the wounds, the max hit points, and the temporary hit points. Now, wounds are definitely wounds. This is damage that you have taken. So when that climbs up to 10, it's reached your max hit points, and you're obviously on death saving throws. This is a little hit die button here, and you can grab this hit die button and drag it across. Roll it in there if you want to, and that's how you spend your hit dice. Whatever number you get heals you up. And then your death saves and death fails are recorded here. And that is your main page. You then have other pages, as I say, with these here, and you can click on them. Skills we've covered before. All of these skills here, gold stars again indicate that you're proficient, and it modifies the numbers here. This is the stats that they run off. This is the stats rules as written that they run off. You can change them. For instance, if you believe that intimidation is kind of one of the ones that come up with all the time, doesn't need to come off charisma, but could come off a different stat like strength, as you are using your strength to pick up a rock and physically show how tough you are by smashing the rock over your head. That you're some kind of lunatic. You can swap these stats around to change the stat that you're actually using at that given point. Again, it's fantastic in terms of you're not just stuck with the system that you're given in 5e. You can homebrew it and modify it however you want. If there are various miscellaneous modifiers, for instance magic items and the like, you can add those there as well. And the brown buttons fundamentally give you the rules on all of those skill abilities. You can as well obviously be proficient. You can have double proficiency bonus. You can have half proficiency bonus. So you've got the choices there to help modify that information. Then the third tab we come down is the features, the traits, the proficiencies, and the languages. This really is just a reminder of what you've got, and you can obviously click on this. And as we see, Eyes of the Night here, what on earth does that mean? It means that you can see through the deepest gloom. You have dark vision out to a range of 300 feet. In that radius, you can see in dim light as well as it were bright light, and in darkness as it was dim light. That is crazy. That is some kind of vision that you get there. Yeah. So the buttons again just really useful. One of the things as a GM, even for somebody who kind of run as many games as I do, is you don't know necessarily all of the rules and all of the features that characters can have, especially when they play certain subclasses or have achieved certain levels. To have something like this on hand is just really, really useful to help understand what really neat features characters actually have got. I find it incredibly useful. I'm learning all of the time. One thing I don't want to quickly wash over is languages. In Fantasy Grounds, there's an incredibly cool language functionality, which is you can click on this bar here and you can choose a language that the character is familiar in, and you can speak to them. And it comes up here with the language, and it tells you which characters can understand those languages. They've done some really nice fonts for the languages, so it means that player characters can communicate between each other in the languages that they know. It also means that you can have certain sort of interesting NPC encounters that are speaking a certain language, and you're relying on player characters to translate for the rest of the group. Which can lead to sort of interesting role playing, which is what we're all about. The one thing that I will say about features and traits and feats, which would go here, is they don't necessarily modify your character sheet. So it is worth double checking that everything that you've got here has been translated across to here. Perfect example is what we've just seen, which is dark vision 300 feet. which is from this ability score here, this Eyes of the Night. And just like pen and paper, we have modified it, and it's now on the character sheet. The next tab down is also important. It's the inventory. I definitely recommend that you draw from the items within Fantasy Grounds itself. It tends to give you everything. If you have multiple choices of items, it's better to pull from the official material books rather than the quick start rules, because it seems to understand them and all of their functionality a little bit better. And then we have obviously treasure, 5 gold pieces here. And then we have sort of encumbrance, which I don't overly use a huge amount. Most player characters tend to get hold of a bag of holding fairly early on, one way or another, and it kind of almost negates that to a lesser degree. But it's really useful to have that information at the GM's sort of hand to basically go, whoa, wait there a minute. Yeah, you're going to have issues here. And to use it in a sort of soft way rather than a hard enforcement way. So that is inventory. Let us have a look here. Doug's got an almost unpronounceable name, which is what I love to see as a GM. Characters with names that I have no idea. We've got all of the equipment there as well. So all of that is looking super sweet as we are speeding through character generation. Notes, very many notes. I'm not going to there's a lot of notes there, which is really nice. I'm not going to go over those for the moment because there might be spoilers, and we don't want spoilers for the moment. So I have switched past there. Those of you who kind of know technology realize this is a stream, and if you are really, really keen, you can go to the video on demand and freeze frame it and see if you can find out any spoilers there. If you really, really, really are that desperate to find out what is going there. Then finally, we move down to the actions, and all of this has been done nicely as well. There is a degree of functionality which is again very cool and not necessarily intuitive, but these things here you can click on. So for instance, if we look at the short sword, he's got it set at melee at the moment, but you can click on that, turn it to ranged. You can click on it, turn it to thrown. You can click on it and turn it back to melee again. So you can manipulate this information if you do want to throw a dagger, for instance. And occasionally the stats will change depending on abilities and the like. And then there's the hand. At the moment, the hand is all set to primary hand, so it is just done to there. What you can do is click on this, and it's 2 hands, or you can click on it again for offhand, and you can click on it again. And the stats should be slightly different. For instance, the longbow should, I believe, be 2-handed. Although it doesn't actually say that. Martial ranged weapon. Oh, there you go, ranged 2-handed. So we can just click that there, and it's just now knowing that that one is used for 2 hands. Attack rolls here. It's always worth double checking the maths on this to make sure that they have chosen the right numbers. But you double click on this to make your attack roll, and then you do that for your damage. Really, really straightforward. If you've got a versatile weapon and you choose 2 hands, it should choose the higher damage as well. So very cool. We see as a cleric 2 first level spell slots. We've got the cantrips here, a nice selection of cantrips, and a nice selection of spells as well. Some of the spells here are from, I'm guessing, the Twilight domain, things like Fairy Fire and Sleep. Really useful spells. And if you are going to cast a spell and you kind of just go, well, I don't know, I've got the spell here, but I don't know what to do, click on the little tennis racket and it opens up the details of the spell. So Toll the Dead, it requires your opponent to make a Wisdom DC save of 13. and you do one of two types of damage. If your opponent isn't wounded, it's 1d8, and if your opponent is damaged, it's 1d12. Really straightforward. And if you don't want all that information, if you don't want to use it, you can close it down again there. So that is very rapid guide to Fantasy Grounds. Primarily for you, the viewers, you can slow it down, watch the video on demand. We've covered it now, I think, at least 5 times. So I am very much repeating myself at the moment, and I don't want to bore you to sleep, even though it is getting to 11 o'clock on a Friday night. But I'll quickly ask both James and Doug. I know that you're both familiar with the system, but is there any questions so far?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks.
Yeah, I think I can. Yeah, look, I can roll dice. This is a good
Yeah,
start.
yeah, it's really good. I think you're both familiar with the system. What is nice to see is your characters now should hopefully have been added to the there we go. Added to our character roster, and this is slowly filling up. I love to show our viewers this, because this is what this project is about. Sort of eight campaigns, slowly but surely. It is going to be a slow burn. Don't expect them all to sort of cross over immediately, but bringing potentially crossovers between all of these characters, and it's really exciting to see them coming alive. And I know that Brooks, one of our moderators, has already sort of flashed it up in chat. But I do want to say a big thank you and shout out to Hero Forge. They've allowed us to use their images for characters. We don't have to use them. We can obviously use other pictures, but they are very happy for us to use their images. There we go. I will just read this out. Many of the character images are designed using Hero Forge, a wonderful way to create your own custom miniatures and to get them 3D printed. www.heroforge.com. Please note, though, that anything mentioned on the stream may not represent the views, beliefs of Hero Forge, which is a Sky Castle Studios LLC product. Just a little disclaimer, but we are passionate about them. The images are great, and it's a very good way of sort of customizing your own miniatures for a variety of uses. So with that said, I am going to show the audience. I've already downloaded the character profiles of everybody else. I just need to find out what that is. So we have 2 characters here at the moment. I know they've not said a lot tonight because you've heard me rattling on. We will come to them in a minute. But we have Dino Byrion, and we have yeah. I will write that phonetically down. And how we're pronouncing your character's name?
It's Ty Menereth.
Is that perhaps shortened to anything?
Yeah. I mean, Ty is what I'm guessing, but I think he would refer to himself as Ty Menereth until someone else decides.
Okay. Ty Menereth. Okay, perfect. Okay, so normally at this point, obviously we would have Boppet and we would have Edius as well. Unfortunately, at the moment, they're having tech issues. Already, Jam Hands has noticed that your name, Ty Merinoff, in chat, but I mean, I cannot possibly comment on that. So it is normally at this point we sort of do character connections, but this is kind of an unusual campaign in the fact that you're all starting off very much in the same space as you are making your way towards the gardens itself. So rather really talk about, because there are only two of you, and have you spoken in the game chat, in our Discord chat, about connections with any of the other players, or were you leaving it to this chat, basically, this session 0?
Knowing the format, I was leaving it until the session 0.
Right. Okay. Well, which is fair enough then. So I think if we, instead of do character connections tonight, if we just do a quick character descriptions, I think the images speak an awful lot. And I think that will do us really. So James, you go first. I like to introduce sort of characters with saying it's like the start of a movie and the camera pans down. What would the camera see as you're probably just debarking this boat to the icy shores, making your way across the ice fields towards the gardens? What would the camera pick up?
The camera probably isn't looking at Dinobrian, because Dinobrian looks like a background actor. I'm trying to play a very boring character, which is going to be great for role play and everything. It's going to be really uninteractive and very, very antisocial, which is going to be fantastic.
Excellent. I'll make a note of that.
It's going to be blood from a stone, Andy. Blood from a stone, this role play. Dinobrian he's certainly not 50 Shades of Grey. He's only got about 4 shades of grey, because any more would be like too flamboyant. He's a very dull person. He is boring personified. His clothing is grey. His hair is just a normal, like the most normal shade of brown possible, like the most average hair colour possible, in a very simple haircut. His armour is very dull. His only noticeable features would be a bow on his back, which looks a little bit like a crescent moon. He has like silvery eyes. He's the kind of guy who, if everybody else is getting off this boat talking, he isn't. He's just looking in the distance, looking somber. He is the party's hired medic, a young doctor just out of clerical/medical school. He has not got a very good bedside manner. He would not be making friends. If there was a kitchen party on the boat, he would be in the kitchen, not partying. If there was a chance to have a drunken revelry, he would have been there with coffee, reading a textbook on medicine. If there was, any kind of social interactions, he would have been doing it painfully and badly. And if there was any kind of medical things that he'd have been doing on the boat, he would have been doing it painfully and badly. Not badly as in the actual medicine was done badly, just the bedside manner is atrocious. He's not a particularly pleasant person, really.
Perfect.
The kind of sayings that you might hear him say, you might get a slight stinging sensation, and then he'll snap your limb back in place and say, after the crippling agony subsides, he's just not a good doctor in that kind of sense.
I'm loving the sound of it already. Excellent stuff. And thank you for introducing him. And now we move to you, Doug. Do you want to? The camera sort of passes right past this bit actor that is kind of, it's not really interested in that, and then sort of the spotlight falls on you instead. Do you want to? I'm getting the appearance it's kind of chalk and cheese here, but please go for it.
It would.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You went quiet for a moment.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. Maybe a little bit of a blip in the connection. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, so saying very stark contrast to Danobrian. Tymenereth is about 6 foot tall, elven features, so high cheekbones, but his skin is a green colour. Hair shaved up to the sides and is very, very, very pale green to the point of being white, tied back into a ponytail. There will be a constant look of interest and almost joyous naivety on his face as his eyes dart around, taking everything in. Clothing wouldn't be overly flamboyant, but there would be accents of green in and amongst pretty much all of it, whether it's the trim or the main colours. Wearing a pack on his back, there will be a bow tied into it, but he will be sauntering along, almost sort of semi-skipping with a flute, playing sort of jaunty tunes, and occasionally dropping it to lean over and talk to one of the sailors, and pulling, yeah, pulling out a small notebook to write things down. He is an emissary of his peoples from the Feywild, an Eladrin elf that has been sent to chronicle this realm, following in the footsteps of his grandfather, who was a very famous chronicler and explorer for his people.
Perfect. Sounds absolutely, yeah, perfect for this kind of setting, really. Because as I said in the introduction, the gardens of Shedaklah are unexplored by the known world, really. Only very, very recently has first contact been made. And it's quite difficult to get to. It's quite a dangerous sort of route across the ice to it. So this is going to be a very interesting journey, an interesting experience for you to chronicle for your people. As you can see, we have two other characters. We have, I believe it's Edius and Boppet. Boppet's a kobold monk and Edius is a human fighter, and they will be joining us in episode 1. But for now, I think it is done. We have very much our characters created, and a very quick sort of introduction to those two. So we will no doubt meet Edius and Boppet in hopefully episode 1, which will be in 2 weeks' time, so in a fortnight. So in the meantime, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to be back on and I'm going to talk about the dredges a little bit. I've got a map to show everybody, and I'm going to show you again, for those of you who didn't see, the splendid application that we've got for druids, which will happen. So for the moment, I want to say a big thank you to Doug and James for joining us. Sorry, it's a quicker one tonight.
I might spend some of that spare time going over the new wiki you've made up.
Yeah, have a look at it.
I've got to dump my entire notes for Frosthaven into that.
No, please do. We can edit it. Just be aware that the Untold Chronicles is not exactly the same realm that some of the other campaigns are being run in at the moment. There is a similarity, but it is not identical. But much of the stuff that you've done in Frostholm can easily translate into that, because it is one of the places that the campaign does run, and it is now free of the Radiant one as well. So I can't overly see there's going to be too much of an issue there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing both your characters and the other two characters in a fortnight's time. So say, if you viewers want to stay with us for a moment, we will be right back. And we are back. Thank you very much for hanging out. Really appreciate that. I've got some words in chat, so let's have a quick look at those first before we go on to some other things. Yeah, so big thanks to Hero Forge for allowing us, and to Jam Hands for ensuring that all of our legalities and copyrights are spot on. Really appreciate that we're doing things properly, and it needs to be done properly. If you get chance, support them. Hero Forge are amazing. Boom, boom, boom. Let's have a look. We're coming down here. Andy, all the clerics in these games could be a class of whatever the year is, and graduates from smoke years. Fun little Easter egg for Tyler. It's an interesting idea. It's not necessarily a bad idea, but obviously some clerics might well want to come from some other ones. So I don't have an issue with it. The Smoke University, the Spires of Enterprise, which is the kind of college of churches within the Smoke, potentially we could have some quite interesting things going up. Yeah, looking forward to getting these games underway. Definitely, Brooks says. The first one is this Tuesday coming. We'll be running Masked, which is our actual play from 7 till 10 in the Smoke, and then almost coincidentally at 10:30 through to midnight, it'll be our very first one of these with the Smoke. And then on Wednesday it will be the Dredges. And speaking about the Dredges, I will show you something in a moment. I'm just coming down with the chats here. Yeah, Konami, Quarter 5 Thunders. I made a little bit of an error. Quarter 5 Thunders, the first one of those was scheduled to be the 14th of February, Sunday the 14th of February. Obviously, I have realised that the 14th of February is Valentine's Day. So we will be doing our daytime games. You will be happy to note. I believe we've probably got... I tell you what, I can do this for you now because of the magics of the internets. So let me, I say I can do this now. Again, Jam Hands has been amazing and pulled up schedules for next week. What we can do here is we can do some shenanigans as I talk and attempt to do some tech at the same time as talking to you lot. So carry on asking questions in chat. I'm going to summon this up so that it gives you a little bit of an idea. What we can do here is we can hold up assets, and we can go to images. This is how you import things to the game. So assets button, across to images, then to campaign. The campaign opens up this, and we want to open up the folder button here, which will hopefully in a minute when my computer catches up open up this folder button. Hopefully there's not a huge amount of super secret information on my computer that I'm sharing with you that I shouldn't be. And then important, you have to refresh stuff. If you don't refresh stuff, it goes badly wrong. We're in admin. Let us open up another picture, and then we can kind of do this here, and we can say this is the Next week is the 8th through to the 14th. So for those of you who are hanging around in the stream at the moment, which we really appreciate, it's a little bit of a spoiler for you. We will show you this now. There's a couple of things we're going to show you. So next week's schedule is going to be like this. Thanks to Jam Hands for coming up with this. So Monday is my official day off where I do all of my actual work. Then we have Tuesday Helldivers, 1 till 4 afternoon. Then we have the Masked actual play, and as spoken we have the Smoke live stream. Then Wednesday we have Tombstone, and we have the Dredges live stream on Untold Chronicles. Then we have Chronicles of Greyhawk, Where Shadows Fall, Curse of Strahd, and we're going to be doing another Twitch subscriber choice on Thursday. That is because we're not quite ready to do 10 Candles yet, the horror-based game. So we will be doing another Twitch subscriber choice. It might end up being 10 Candles anyway. Who knows what that is going to be. Friday, we'll be doing Collateral Damage and Battles of Legend. If you are a Twitch subscriber, you can play in Battles of Legend. And I'll quickly go over what that is again. It is basically Dungeons and Dragons. It's you controlling a character, but it's very combat orientated. There's going to be not a huge amount of role playing going on. Think of it very much like a World of Warcraft raid, where all the characters are fighting against the monsters. Thank you very much, Doug. Thank you very much for subscribing. Really appreciate that. It helps us out no end. So Battles of Legend is an hour and a half of battling, and eventually I want it to represent historical battles in the world of the Untold Chronicles. So it's going to be an interesting one. If my technology can hold up to it, my computer can hold up to it, it'd be brilliant to have, a huge amount of player characters battling against NPCs. Whilst it's subscriber only for play purposes, we might do community chats where non-subscribers can kind of suggest other things that are happening in the battle, bringing on reinforcements, changing the tide of the battle, etc., etc. They're one shot, so your characters are not going to carry over. Also gives you the ability to play something that you might not play normally, or test out a certain level of character as well. Then we move to the 13th, which is Dungeon of the Mad Mage, Ghost of Saltmarsh, Misericordia, which is a Vampire the Masquerade game, Rime of the Frost Maiden, and then our final Untold Chronicles, which is Dust, which last night we created potentially an encounter for the future for, which is super good. And then Sunday, by my mistake, it is Valentine's Day. So we're still going to do Curse of Strahd, we're still going to do Waterdeep Dragon Heist, but I'm taking the evening off to spend some time with my beautiful lady wife. We don't get to spend a lot of time together, and I think it is totally justified to do that. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But like everybody else, don't forget to love each other, as Jam Hands has very nicely put here. Remember, it is Valentine's Day. I know it's not necessarily good for everybody, but it is a time to just be nice to people. We should be doing our Vampire Nottingham by Night 1970s live stream here as well, but I've had to forgo that as well as Court of Five Thunders in the name of love. So that is a quick sneak peek of what we've got going on next week. Plenty of stuff. It does mean that Court of Five Thunders is delayed to the 28th, as you said. But with them being only an hour and a half episodes, it's not the end of the world. So apologies to you players, but I'm sure we can do something else. Gerbhouse has said Tom's map is amazing. Now, what on earth do you mean, Tom's map? I'll tell you what he means. Some of you might have already seen this on our Discord channel, but from a very, very dodgy sketch map that I did, Tom has created this very wonderful map of the dredges for everybody to have a look, and it is super good. I mean, I'm blown away by this. It's kind of magic to me. I deliberately designed the map without a scale on it, so you've got Trench Town down here. There's the wild of all of these forests around and the track that leads up to the dredges. There is a toll area here, and as explained to some of the other players, the tolls it's a kind of fortified wall that stretches across the mountain path. There's a large number of, in effect, outlaws and bandits, and it's far easier just to pay the toll than to try and fight them or to try and make your way through the mountains. It is easy. It is easy money to be made for the bandits. But even the well-protected institutions, the mercantile houses that operate within the dredges, they just pay the tolls. They don't charge extortionate amounts, and it's just not worth the bother, really. Now, because we haven't done a scale, sort of basically speaking, it's about a week's journey on foot between each of the towns, each of the dredges. So it's in effect 1 week, 2 week to Starfall from Hope, 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks to Last Post, 3 weeks to Leadville, 1, 2, 3 weeks to Solitude as well. And you can see all of the locations. I've kind of seen this map in my head so many times, and it's just wonderful to see it actually sort of there on the screen in front of me. Hope is where our players in the Dredges game start off. There's Paradise, Silver Spring, Leadville, Twin Falls, Solitude up in the mountains, Devil's Lake by this big lake, Last Post, and Starfall, which is in some kind of crater. So this is beautiful and amazing that's come through. And slowly but surely, as community members volunteer, I'm more than happy to give the information out so that people can kind of pull together. And who knows, in a year, 2 years, 3 years, we might have an entire map of the Untold Chronicles world. As some of you know out there, though, there are some dark secrets. There are some locations that haven't been mentioned at the moment. And even with this, these are the dredges, but hidden within these maps are locations that haven't been mapped out at the moment. So there are things to be found, secrets to be uncovered, even in the best of maps. But yeah, big shout out to Tom for doing that. Obviously, there's also the white here, and as Gerbhouse mentioned, He's not fully up with the world of the Untold Chronicles. He was asking, is there anything beyond the white? And the simple answer is yes, there is Frost Home, which was going to be one of the settings, but if you pop across to the wiki, it's actually on the wiki at the moment. And I don't know if any of you in chat have the wiki details, but if you can throw it in the chat now, people can have a look at it. You can modify it, you can add your characters in it, and as information is uncovered in game, hopefully people can update it. There we go. Thank you very much, Brooks. We've got the very beginnings of our wiki for the Untold Chronicles here. Since I've been talking, we have got Edus or Edus beginning to form in front of our eyes as Pete, who is going to be playing this character, is putting this very cool character together. You will meet them properly next session, but that is the third of our 4 players, I'm pleased to say. So I'm going to go across to chat again, see if we've got need to answer any questions. Once again, a big thank you, Doug, for your sub. Really appreciate that. It makes a massive difference to help funding this and help putting it together. Don't forget, Doug, if you're interested, connect your Discord with your Twitch account, because you can then access the subscriber perks account on a channel on our Discord. It gives you some options to join in some of the games, to access information that is kind of offered to subscribers, etc., etc. There are a number of perks, and we're working on new ones every day. Yeah, no worries. If you have, if you need information about how to link them, your name also goes purple in our Discord channel as well, which is worth it just for that. But thanks, have a good night, and thanks for generating your character. Take care, buddy, and I'll speak to you tomorrow, because hopefully you'll be free to play tomorrow. Hope everything goes okay with everything else that's going on with you at the moment. Boom, 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 boom. And we're just quickly looking down here to everything else. Yeah, the poor people going on a pilgrimage in dust is what we created last night. Thank you very much, Gustav. Really appreciate the sub as well. Really appreciate that. Linking it with Prime, that is awesome. Again, same words to you. Check out our Discord, see if you can link it together, and you can connect with us to the perks. There's some interesting things that we are throwing out there, but once again, it's surprising. If you've got Prime, it costs you nothing, and it makes a big difference as subscriptions kind of build up. It's super exciting to see that happening. Boom, boom. Excited for Dungeon Alchemist. Looks ridiculously quick for generating maps. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what is going on with programs. Boom, boom. Awesome. Yeah, Ionia is tomorrow night, which is probably going to be as fast a game, but Ionia is. No, appreciate it, Gustav. It directs some revenue our way, so we really appreciate it. If you are interested, like we said to Doug, you can connect your Discord account, with your Twitch account, and it means that you can access our Twitch subscriber perks, we need to entitle that a little bit better, because it is a bit of a mouthful. Ionia is going to be good, and then we've got Shedaklah. So we've got two more very interesting settings before we actually. I mean, next week, as I said with the spoilers, we go live. We have episode 1's. The Untold Chronicles is truly going to start being told. And I am very excited about it. So yeah, I mean that is one title that we can choose. The other thing that we started discussing in the subscribers perks channel is that we're getting to the point now that we've got a fantastic community around us, and we should start thinking about what we can call that community. It's almost like what do we call our adventuring party, our adventuring company? What do we call our community here? Twisters is one thing that we came up with. Primate is saying Twitches, which is I don't think half bad. Twisties, yeah, absolutely. So over the next week or two, we'll collate suggestions, and then I think we'll allow the subscribers to have a vote on it. Yeah, cheers for that. Yeah, very good. This is the problem. This is the problem when you hand over naming to the community. This is what happens. People like Gerbhouse get involved, and we'll have Boaty McBoatface problems all over. But hey, it's however you want to be called. It is the community after all, and I do very much appreciate your support. One of the other things that I was going to show you, because we got through the session 0 very, very fast, is I wanted to show you the Druid modification. This is where we get to pick on Thrud again. So let us show you what we can do. I don't think we've got any druids at the moment. Still in have we got a decent? Is this is quite a nice map. I quite like it. Different from last night. I don't think we've got any druids in Untold Chronicles as yet, but this might change your mind, because this modification for Fantasy Grounds is amazing. So we'll stick with Thrud, and we'll choose a monster. I'll let chat decide. What monster should Thrud, who is a first level barbarian, fight? What monster should he fight? A Flumph, Aboleth, Scrapland Centaur was a druid until last minute. We're looking for melee monsters, a brain in a jar. Have we got brains? I'm kind of looking for something more of a challenge. I'm looking more of a challenge, because I'm gonna bump him up a bit. I'm gonna give Thrud the ability to shape change. So let us say this: what happens if Thrud, for one moment, was given the ability to polymorph into that chosen creature of all polymorphs, a T-Rex? Perhaps if it wasn't Thrud anymore, I'm not quite sure. How how that is working. Let us access it. Access it this way. So I think we can do it this way. I think we can do it this way. Maybe there is a way of doing it. Mammoth. So it is probably this one instead. Just bear with me a moment. So I'm looking for, there we go. It's a racing. No, it's not that. I am trying to find out. That's interesting. Excuse me a moment. I did find it earlier. I Wild shape information. Where are we? Level 18. No restrictions. No. Level 9. It's definitely here. Level 2. No flying. Level 3. Oh dear. This is taking too long. I did see it before. Primate, are you still seeing enough crossbreeding? I'm not entirely sure what a Zongo is. That is interesting. So supposedly there is. I did see Tyrannosaurus Rex here previously. So not the Triceratops. Aha! I found it now. It has taken me that long to find it again. But supposedly, if we choose a polymorph T-Rex and stick that there, we just literally drag it across to there, and we are there with that skill. We can close that down for the moment. Oops, we can close that down for the moment. And we can close all of this down because we put the skill on his character sheet now. So we've got Thrud suddenly with the ability to be transformed, maybe with a friendly wizard or like being able to do that. And as I said, we just need a monster for him to fight. This just needs to be a straightforward physical battle. So let us say, I don't know. Boom, boom, boom. I know, but it's very close to Thrud. So this will do. I'm just going to quickly choose a monster that Thrud is not going to be able to attack by himself. I think a Bone Devil could be quite good. Bone Devil 140, yeah. Challenge rating 9. Let us say that. So quite a nasty creature, this Bone Devil. So we'll throw that onto the combat tracker as well. And Poor Thrud is making its way through the Underdark, and we have this situation. Thud, as we get it right, basically sees this Bone Devil, and this Bone Devil is, I am a Bone Devil, and I am substantially more powerful than you. What Thud can do, demonstrating this ability, is it has a magic item or is a druid or whatever. We have the ability to polymorph, and fundamentally, after all this, let's face it, messing about, what I ultimately want to do is actually show you this very beautiful functionality here. So what we can actually do with the press of the button is we can polymorph Thud into a T-Rex. Now, if the magic works, notice what is going on here. Watch this token as we click on the effect. Nothing has happened. Okay. Why is that? Is that because we haven't targeted ourselves? Quite possibly. We have targeted ourselves now. That is much better. We have targeted ourselves, and there are a number of things that have happened here. You notice that the image has changed. We've got a picture of a T-Rex. We've become much bigger than the Bone Devil. But more importantly, if we kind of look at here, all of Thud's stats have changed. Strength of 25, intelligence of 2. His hit points have gone up. And with a single click of a button, we have done that. And we also have all of these abilities here. What we can do now is we can go across to the old combat tracker. We can target the Bone Devil, and the Bone Devil can target this. It might not work as well because I think the Bone Devil has a degree of resistance. But what we can do now is do some damage to each other. So the can attack. We've hit the Bone Devil, and we can do damage as if we are a T-Rex. It is resisting it, but the Bone Devil can do the same thing to the T-Rex as well. Let us zoom in for you here. What I fundamentally want to do, though, is show you that as we claw our way through notice that lots of things happen there as the polymorph finished the effects. He dropped his concentration and came out of it. Obviously, if someone else was concentrating on the spell, that wouldn't really matter. So that's not the best of examples, unfortunately. But it fundamentally shows you that as soon as they take the correct amount of damage, they are knocked unconscious. There we go. We returned Thud to his current state. But it's an amazingly fantastic functionality. With the single press of a button now, you can transfer people into creatures. Druid wild shapes work very, very nicely. Um, I think we can reduce the down like that. Does seem to have an area of effect, but we can delete the totem. I think when we summon him back, he might not be that big. Oh, he is big. That is an interesting effect. Let us see. Let us delete him completely, and then we can see if that works. When we add him again, let us see whether that has changed it. So we can go PC. And boom, I think we can do it from here, don't we? Oops, we need that. That's what we need. Not that, but we need combat tracker open. And we need to do that. And hopefully now he is reduced back to his normal size. Yeah, it is small. Thud. I think because I am super tired, I haven't explained that particularly well. But it is super useful functionality. It allows polymorphs and wild shapes to actually work really nicely at the press of a button. Here we have Edus now with the Hero Forge picture as well, looking super cool. Thank you very much, Pete, for doing that. We've got a great weapon master with the fighting style. So we just saw sort of Bone Devil versus T-Rex, which was super cool. I keep forgetting that wild shape probably you can't do a T-Rex because the challenge rating might be too big. But you can certainly do mammoths and the like. Boom, boom, boom. So that is where we are at, certainly for a level 1. Yeah, I like that. Wild Wizard Thudosaurus Rex is very cool. I'm just going to go back into chat now and kind of have a look at this. Yeah, boom, boom, Garisto, are crazy demons. Oh, sorry, Pete. Yeah, I could polymorph Edus now that you've created him. Thanks very much for creating him. I hope you are with us. If you are around, Pete, I can connect you to Discord if you want. Boom, 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 and we can have a quick chat about your character. Give me a second, and I'll see. Oh, just my system. I see that you are actually in Discord. Can you hear me, Pete? Boom, boom, boom.
Successfully.
Hey,
I think it's there.
I can hear you, Pete. You are live.
Thank you very much.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Welcome. This is, I mean, your username does give you away, Pete
Yeah,
God.
it does a little bit. It does. It's not very difficult.
You are more than welcome. Thanks for joining us. We've gone through all the usual sort of session 0 stuff, but because all of your characters, I think you probably heard what I said, are kind of arriving together on a boat.
So we know why we met each other.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
we all got on the same boat.
Without a doubt. So instead of doing a kind of character connection thing, I did what I tend to do as most sort of introductions is kind of that cinematic scene of a camera panning round and focusing on you. This is your moment to shine. What would the opening sequence, the opening camera, sort of show to our viewers?
It'd probably show sort of rather grumpy-looking, large Norse-looking guy, very traditionally Norse-looking guy. He's got a big shaggy beard. He's got a really sort of, he's dressed for the cold. He actually comes from the White, just north of the Dredges. Was actually raised by frost giants.
Excellent.
And has got sort of giant runes on some of his equipment. On he's got a very large maul and a shield and some mail shield strapped to his back most of the time.
Very good.
He was like I said, he was raised by giants and ended up returning to the human sort of sphere of influence as part of a sort of a battle I was asking about, sort of skirmishes between frost giants from the White and the human domain.
Yeah,
I think that's been happening. So, but he's been somewhat traumatized by that. He's obviously been raised as actually in the rough and tumble of a frost giant whelp sort of colony with some of the elder frost giants looking after the children.
Yep.
And got used to fighting hard. That's why he's so good with a big maul.
Yeah.
But he didn't enjoy it when the frost giants were fighting the humans. It's left him with nightmares. Doesn't know how to cope with it. And what he's done to cope with it is he's gone south.
You've gone very far south.
He's gone about as far away from that problem as he could possibly get.
Yeah.
But the influence from him's sort of, Amundsen's explorers back in the early 20th century, trying to cross Antarctica.
Absolutely.
And he knows how to handle the cold, and he's heard these rumours of this place in the cold, but isn't cold. And he thinks it's nonsense, and he's determined to find out that it's not true.
Excellent stuff. So, a very handy companion to have with your skills surviving in the cold.
I hope so. I'm hoping to take him to be a rune knight.
Yeah.
Get that far.
I got this subtle hint about the
runes. Just a bit.
But rune knights are super cool as well because they have the ability to enhance their size, do they not? So
they do, yes. That should be quite an entertaining thing.
It does very, very much fit the sort of notion of being raised with sort of frost giants. Absolutely.
Exactly. There's another character from 2000 AD that I always channel for this kind of thing, which is Wolf Sternhammer.
Yep, absolutely.
If any of you have seen,
I think
sort of Johnny Alpha and Strontium Dog.
Strontium Dog, we are talking about. Big fan myself.
Indeed. Yeah, love Wolf Sternhammer. He's very terse. He's very blunt.
Yeah.
And he's got a big hammer, and he's not afraid to use it.
Sounds absolutely perfect. Very much appreciate you spending the time. I know that you had to join us late because of family commitments and the like. But we've got, how are we pronouncing it? Is it Edus or Edus? Sorry,
Edius. I was using the fantasy name generator, and it came up with a product that my company makes.
Oh, really?
I thought, well, I'll have that then.
Yeah. So Edius.
Yeah.
Okay, it's cool. I'm kind of, again, you'll get used to me. It's not me being impolite. It's me having this kind of terrible phonetic ability, or rather lack of phonetic ability, to be able to pronounce things properly. But Edius, I've got it written down phonetically. That is super awesome. I really appreciate you jumping in at the last moment. That is now 3 of our characters. Boppet is having a really bad day of the internets, and hopefully they'll be able to jump on sometime between now and episode 1 and create this very interesting kobold monk that I'm looking forward to seeing as well. Without further ado, thank you very much, Pete. I'm assuming that you're okay with me calling you Pete on the stream.
Absolutely, given that I've put it in my handle.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But that is super awesome. So there we go, viewers. Our third player and our third character for this session. Really appreciate you spending the time creating it. And have you had any problems? Are you happy with what you've got at the moment?
I can't get a great weapon fighting in.
Okay, let
I have got a feature of fighting style instead of a feature of fighting style Great Weapon Master or whatever it's meant.
yeah. So what
Can't figure it
happens?
out.
Yeah, what happens is that if you go to your abilities score, abilities tab, and if you
Yep.
click on fighting style, it fundamentally tells you all of the fighting styles.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't
Uh,
actually have
no,
one of
no.
them, and I've been hunting the button that would be the right button
I,
all over the UI.
I don't
Can't
think there
find
is a
it.
button for it. I think you are probably right. So, great weapon fighter, when you roll a 1 or a 2 on damage dice for an attack you make with a melee weapon you are wielding with 2 hands, you can re-roll the dice, and you must use even if it's a 1 or a 2. The weapon must have 2-handed or versatile property for you to gain its benefit. So, unfortunately, there is no mechanic for it as far as I'm aware, but the techies out there will probably know. There might be a way that you can actually do it, but if you make a physical note of it, and you just need to remember when you are using that ability that any 1s or 2s you can choose if you want to
Never
reroll.
remember it, but I've
Uh,
got the ability to do remembering it if I try.
yeah. But I again, I sort of mentioned this about Fantasy Grounds. It's great. We can easily adjust the damage that you do. I do put it upon the player's shoulders to remember things. Um, I try and help sometimes. It's not that haha you've forgotten it, but I forget a lot of times what players can and can't do because I'm concentrating on multiple other things. But if a couple of turns in, you say, "Oh, well, yeah, I forgot about that." It's like we will continue and we'll try and modify the damage a little bit or whatever. Um, but yeah, I don't know if there's a way in actions that you might want to put a note there or something to remind you, or you can hotbar a note. Or you can even, one of the great things is if you go to notes, you can open up a note and you can have a note open as a reminder, or you can even go old school and get literally a post-it note and write it on and stick it onto your computer screen as well. Back in the days, I was terrible for remembering that legendary creatures had legendary actions. And over again, I forgot to do legendary actions for my legendary creatures.
It's cool. Chat's going to tell me. Chat's going to tell me, you idiot, you've forgotten to
Yeah,
reroll.
yeah. No, chats. That is perfectly good as well. Yeah. So yeah, it's sometimes really easy to forget these little bits and pieces, but we'll come up with a way to hopefully help you remember. And if we don't, we'll try and find a functionality that makes it work within Fantasy Grounds. Anyway, so I think that is it as we are hitting that witching hour of midnight. I'll say a big thank you to you, Pete, and to Doug and James as well for generating their characters. It's been a bit of a strange one tonight, but we got there in the end, more or less. 3/4 of the way there anyway, and we'll meet, no doubt, Boppet in episode 1 of Gardens of Shedaklah. Thank you very much for hanging out with us, Pete. Thank you very much to you viewers for hanging out. Thanks for all the subs tonight. Really appreciate that as well. It's really helping us. Don't forget to link your Twitch account to your Discord account to get into our Discord perks for Twitch subscribers. Tomorrow night we're doing Ionia 10:30 to midnight. So hopefully you can tune in then. In the meantime, have an awesome Saturday. Stay safe. Take care, everybody. We'll see you all very soon.